This is the audio for The Naked Quaker, True Crimes and Controversies from the Courts of the Colonial New England, Diane Rappaport. The Naked Quaker. Preface. I love reading old court records, which can be stranger than fiction and just as entertaining. No other source offers such intimate and surprising detail about the past, bringing history and our ancestors to life. I especially enjoy court cases from Puritan New England, which I share in this book in my award-winning Tales from the Courthouse column for New England Ancestors magazine. There, where many of the true stories in The Naked Quaker first appeared. Readers often ask me how I found these stories, and I have a short answer. Sorry, really bad at this. I never have a short answer, for my path to this book was decades in the making. Although I have studied colonial America in college and earned a BA degree in history, I never looked at court orders until I went to law school and became a trial lawyer. Even then, while practicing law in Minneapolis and later in Boston, the only court records I read were relatively modern ones. I never imagined becoming a historical author or writing a book called The Naked Quaker. But life takes unexpected twists and turns. The chance encounters can alter careers. I still remember the moment about 10 years ago that launched me to a new professional direction. When I happened to open a book about the history of my town, Lexington, Massachusetts, as I turned the pages, one paragraph caught my eye about a British soldier, William Murno, who arrived in Lexington, then called Cambridge Farms, during the mid-1600s, captured by Oliver Cromwell's troops during the English Civil War. Monroe and hundreds of other Scottish prisoners were exiled across the ocean, sold to English colonists, and forced to labor at towns and farms all over New England. They did not face a lifetime of servitude. Their terms averaged 5 to 8 years, but they were unwilling immigrants, and I had never heard their story before. Intrigued, I wanted to learn more about Monroe and his fellow Scots. I soon discovered, however, that few history or genealogy books mention the 17th century Scottish prisoners. Their stories seem to be a forgotten chapter of our New England heritage. As a lawyer, I wondered whether old court records, if they still existed, might offer more detail about what happened to these Scots as they made new lives in America. I decided to check the Massachusetts Archives, a repository of the original colonial manuscripts. But I did not really expect to find anything new. I assumed the previous generations of researchers had already mined this obvious source of historical information. To my delight, I uncovered a wonderful catch of court files about Monroe at the Massachusetts Archives. Material apparently overlooked for hundreds of years, some of it in his own words. Monroe's case, which I call the Purloined Pigs, would have not generated much publicity in its day, had newspapers existed to report on it. But Monroe's lawsuit was hard-fought and emotional. The jumble of faded handwritten documents speaks volumes about the character of the stubborn Scotsman and his neighborhood adversity. I am pleased to bring the Purloined Pigs out of its archives into this book, in Chapter 6. Monroe also appears in another true story, the Rhode Island Runaway, in Chapter 2, which I found during the same fateful trip in the Massachusetts Archives. Reading the colonial court records became a passion. Some might call it an obsession. I continued scouring 17th century case files at archives and books, microfilm and computer resources, searching for clues about the Scottish war prisoners. I found a new treasure trove of information about these men and other forgotten New England ancestors, English colonists, Native Americans, African slaves, and many more. Tales too good to stay hidden away in archives. So I began writing these true stories for New England ancestors and other publications. Finally, I left my law practice for full-time historical research and writing. My award-winning first book, New England Court Records, a research guide for genealogists and historians, Quill Pen Press, 2006, shared what I had learned about this finding and using court orders not only from the colonial days, but up to modern times as well. Telling stories about from court cases, however, is still what I enjoy most. The Naked Quaker, True Crimes and Controversies from Courts of Colonial New England collects some of my favorites. So many people have helped me along the way in my transformation from trial lawyer to historical storyteller. One can never thank them all. The folks on my publisher, Commonwealth Editions, were enthusiastic about the Naked Quaker from the start, and working with them on this project has been a joy. Many thanks especially to Webster Bull, Perry McUncht, don't know how to say that name, the Diana McCloy. I also appreciate the New England Historic Genealogical Society in Boston, primarily Brenton Simons, Leon Betlock, and Jean Powis, and many readers of New England Ancestors magazine whose encouragement and feedback played a major role in turning my Tales from the Courthouse column into a book. Some of the other people and organizations who offered generous assistance, contributing research help, access to records, permission to produce images are named in the notes and illustration sources at the back of this book. Extra special thanks go to my talented artist daughter, Carrie Rappaport, who took time in the midst of her busy senior year at high school to create an original pen and ink drawing for chapters 4. Perhaps one day after she graduates from the School of the Museum of Fine Arts in Boston, where she begins study this fall, she will illustrate future books for me. I am also profoundly grateful, of course, to the many colonial clerks and judges who have foresight to keep such colorful court records, which now offer us a glimpse into our ancestors' past. Most of all, I wish that I could thank the long ago New Englanders I came to know through the pages of court files. I feel privileged to tell their stories. End of the preface. Sorry, it's my first time doing this, but I want other people to be able to read and listen to the audio. So, yeah, thank you.